So here's a piece I just put together today. It's been fairly fast in the making. It's not a largely abstract piece. With my current obsession with dripping things on surfaces, I had an old piece of canvas at some point. It's over here, that I put paper on. I don't really know why I did it, but for whatever I was using it for at the time, it wasn't really appropriate, and it's been sitting in a pile of old canvases, and I just decided to get it out and put some paint on it, and it's come out really nice. I always talk about the lovely effect that watercolors have when they dry, and if you can see here, you see quite a lot of that on this, and the way that the colors have sort of mixed and merged in a very organic way, here in particular, creating some really cool effects. And there's a bit here that's still wet, look, and it goes on, and you don't really know what it's going to end up like. And this, I really like the way it's come out. I just like all the patterns and colors and textures, and obviously the paper hasn't dried flat. Look at that bit, that's really cool. The paper hasn't dried flat, so you've got these little ridges that it creates that adds a bit of texture. And I really think it's because it's come out like this because there's a layer of paper on the canvas, and that allows the paint to sort of soak in, but also unevenly. And the paint and the inks and the water has dried at different times, which has led to this lovely texturing and so on. And as a standalone sort of abstract piece, if I can resist the urge to tinker with it, I think that's pretty cool. But it's an effect I'm probably going to use in some of my more figurative or realist stuff. I might well try and do some sort of larger scale watercolor like things on canvas. But back to this one. So I didn't plan this. I literally found a bit of canvas, stuck some paper to it, but this time I stuck some bits of paper that already had stuff on it. A lot of it's not really visible at the moment, but you can see here that says breathe. And then I dried it so that the paper stuck to the surface. Then I stuck some more paper on it, then I dried it again, and then I just went at it with some paints. Now I used these little bottles here that I got from a Danish shop. I can't remember what it was called, but they were like £1 each, and they've got these little dropper ends on them on the cap, and you can sort of drop them a lot more specifically. But also I've been scratching them around the surface here, which because it's paper, it scratches up the surface of the paper, and it creates channels for the paints to fall down. And then I've got a bunch of different consistencies or viscosities of paint that I've dripped on, and you're getting these fractal patterns that I love so much. And there's some images under there. There's an image of Gene Tierney. I've got piles of bits of paper with offcuts or bits of reference or whatever that I just have around, so I just picked up whatever was to hand. And then, you know, I've got a limited amount of acrylic inks left at my disposal, and so I used what was available, and it's created some really amazing contrast. What I've got to hope is that it all doesn't sort of mush in together, but what I'm hoping is that the paper is going to soak in. Look at this area down here, so cool, look at that. The paper is going to soak up the liquid, and like you see here, it's doing it all different rates, and that when it dries, It'll keep a bit more of its vibrancy, and it's going to give it less opportunity to sort of mix and mash together, because although canvases are to a degree permeable, i.e. they soak up some of the liquid, it's not really enough, and quite a lot of it stays on the surface, which gives it a lot of opportunity to blend in. And these are really the techniques I'm experimenting with. I have a propensity to experiment with this type of thing, but on like bigger, more considered pieces of artwork, and it's all a little bit chaotic, and I can end up spoiling things. It's not really one thing or not really another. Whereas by working on this stuff purely by way of abstraction as an experiment with materials and just to create effects, I'm really learning a lot at a much lower sort of risk. And I've talked about this quite a lot before, but it's really quite an interesting and fun enterprise, and I'm learning a lot from it. So yeah, that's my my current piece. I will report back when it's dry and let you know what it looks like. So here we are again. This is several days later with the same piece. Just having a look at it now, it looks to be almost completely dry. And I just went back and looked at the original video, and it looks like it's kept quite a lot of its colour and quite a lot of the patterns and the little fractals and stuff. And I like the way that these scratches I made in it have sort of gathered the inks and really gone dark. It's a bit messy. Where's my brush? Look at this horrible mess. Look at, I'm just a nightmare at the moment. I really need to just stop and clear up, but I'm too busy thinking about stuff that I'm going to do. There we go, let's brush it off a bit. It's a bit better. It's dry. I'm brutal with my paintings. I sort of take the view that I get my best results from randomness and accidents, and so I sort of stopped trying to be that careful unless there's some specific reason, i.e. something's basically finished or I've already varnished it or whatever, that I really don't want to touch it anymore. I'll just touch things and treat them quite badly, almost in the hopes that I get a happy accident. And I think this whole mess is part of that whole process. And so I'm not very careful, and I think some artists really very much are, and comes with its own merits, obviously, but my approach suits my personality. I'm not a very careful person, and therefore there's no point in me swimming against that particular tide. So I just do whatever. I've tried to factor the human that I am into my approach, rather than constantly trying to push against my own personality and my own propensities. So we've got this word breathe, and I've been pondering abstraction. You can see there's some other things under here, some other patterns, and I've always found abstract art quite difficult to both comprehend and to create, and I guess those things are quite closely linked, because if you can't comprehend it, you can't create it. And I've always had a slightly cynical view of it, despite liking bits and pieces of it. But I'm quite enjoying making it, and not tying myself in too many knots about making, pictorial pieces that look like something and mean something very specific, I've been increasingly moving towards a mode where I just think about things in terms of giving people mental stimulus to create their own stories, and that's what I've always tried to do to a degree. But I've always been I found it really difficult to move away from representative art, because if an work of art doesn't look like something, it sort of didn't ever mean anything to me, and I sort of feel like I don't anyway. I get the abstract art that I like. I get a certain emotional resonance, or a reaction to, and even stuff I don't like. It's the fact that I don't like it is a reaction. But I've been increasingly thinking about this and trying to because I look at this and go, well, is that finished? Well, I don't know. What was it supposed to be? If this was a picture of, I don't know, a house, right, I'd know roughly that it was finished because it looked like the house. If this is a picture of a bowl of flowers, a vase of flowers, I'd know it was finished because it looked like it in such a way that I found pleasing. But this doesn't really look like anything. Well, so is it finished? Well, I think it is, and I really quite like it, although I can't tell you why. I think I like the colours, and I like the ambiguity of this word breathe, and that there's bits and pieces of stuff poking back out in from the background, and there's a fair amount going on in it. But, could I write some sort of Artspeak drivel on, the interplay between colour fields and as a metaphor of the human condition and the need to constantly breathe but have no control over that need, and that causes an emotional, subconscious emotional response that is disempowering, and this painting attempts to capture that emotional and psychological dichotomy by juxtaposing colours and shapes in an organic fashion that reminisces of the neural pathways within the brain transmitting signals to each other that make sure that you remember to breathe. There you go. So I said I couldn't write that, and I just did. And there you go. So maybe I need to just transcribe that and stick it next to the painting. Maybe that's complete nonsense, and whatever you see when you see this painting is whatever you see, and what I see sort of doesn't matter. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I didn't create that, nature created that. How amazing. Look at the way that the orange sort of merges round the yellow, like it's enveloping it. And it's honouring sort of the pattern that the yellow has. So the yellow must be more viscous, and it's repelling the orange in certain places, and that's just dried like that. These are the types of effects I've been trying to capture for ages. And so what do I think about the dichotomy between the need to breathe and the need for autonomy? No, I don't. I paint a fucking picture like this, and it comes out like this because I really liked what the inks and the paints were doing. And look at that. I don't know, maybe you see a sunset over the water in that little bit. I can see that. But is it a sunset over the water, or is it just beautiful in its own right? In its sort of grimy organicness. Oh, there's a crow on my roof. Look, can you see it? Yeah, look. Is that a crow? Or is it a jackdaw? Can't quite see from here. Isn't that cool? They're crazy corvids, they're well smart. Don't mess with crows, they'll mess you up back. They remember you. Don't mess with crows. Right, anyway, back to this painting. Look at that bit there. we've got some sort of light shining between some woodland, or just another cool organic effect. See, I probably am quite good at this Artspeak nonsense. I just find it a bit repellent. I think it's condescending. Anyway, I've got a whole podcast episode about that, so I'm not going to bang on about it. Go listen to it. It's called Mind Your Language, Alex Against Artspeak. Available now wherever you get your podcast, or almost certainly about 2 videos down, or maybe even 1 video down on the platform you're looking at this on if you're on YouTube. Plug. Yeah, this is good. I like this one. It's one of my best. And just while I'm talking about abstraction, this one I've been pissing around with for literally weeks, and I still hate it, but I'm not giving up. It's had about 19 layers on it, and I can never seem to make it work for me. This one's a work in progress. I'm going to pull these little stripes off because they're not stuck on. Yeah, I'll do one now for you. Look. Ooh, how exciting. So exciting. And now that will dry at a different rate, and it'll have a slightly different effect. So this is all wet, you can still see. And this one, don't know where I'm going with this. We'll figure it out. I got this down here. That's by the heater. And another one underneath it there. And this is my pile of staples that I've been working on for weeks. I don't know how easy you can see that, but I suspended a bunch of old staples because I don't throw away my staples. Yeah, look. Sorry, hold on. There, look. Because I staple things to canvases and then pull them off and keep the staples because I might need them, you know what I mean? Another one here that I really like. I'll come back to that one. I'll talk about my staples more at some point. Another one under here. All sorts of stuff going on. Lots of mess. A bunch of canvases lined up for the abstract treatment. One under here that I've been working on for ages that I hate still. Don't know where that's going. Some up here. And look, actual representative art. So I'm going to do, I think, a bit of a deep dive on abstraction, since it's what I'm doing at the moment. See here's the issue, right? So over here you have this, and then you have my palette. Which is better, do you think? And then you have my worktop. Now, how different is that? I mean, there's some magical patterns on this worktop. Unfortunately, it's mostly covered at the moment because I've got so much crap on the go. No, I'm not going to try this. If I do what I'm trying to do now, it's all going to fall off on the floor and I'll be miserable. Anyway, I could sell this as a work of art, right? It's just my palette with dry paint on it. And that's where I get a little bit mixed up, a little bit cynical. And yeah, because I can interpret that for you. I just did. You know what I mean? It's the it's a depiction of modernity, taking into account the view we all have that seems to derive from our ability to see everything from the sky via Google Maps, and that we don't see the colours in society. We don't see via your top-down view of the world. We only see homogeneity and water and land. But here in this piece, I've tried to illustrate that humanity comes in lots of different colours and culture, and it just sort of all merges together. And you should just, when you're looking at things, you can look at them top down, but remember to see that there are differences and divergences and dichotomies everywhere you look. And no Artspeak sentence is finished without the word juxtaposition. And so as you can see, I've juxtaposed the blobs of colour with flat fields and complementary colours that that show the diversity in humanity and the abstract nature of culture as relates to nature. So there you go. Price tag on that, 10,000 quid. Just wire me the money. Anyway, because I'm still so bloody cynical, I'm going to do a deep dive on abstraction, and I'll do a podcast about it, right? Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Bye.